Okay, let's be honest. When it comes to what's in your food, most surprises are not welcome ones. So if you can think you can trust the labels of the products you buy at the grocery store, an alarming new study might make you think twice. Because from olive oil to coffee to spices, instances of so-called food fraud are cropping up nationwide. ABC's Jim Avila brings us the report.
A trip to the grocery store should be simple and straightforward.
Anything that they put in there should be listed on the ingredients label.
But how do you know what's on the label is what you're actually getting? In a study to be released later today, the U.S. Pharmacopeal Convention, an independent nonprofit lab with a mission of raising food standards, says in many cases you can't. Their comprehensive review of food fraud finds that reports of fraudulent ingredients in our food, ingredients not labeled and used as cheap substitutes, are up 60% over last year's review.
Food products are not always what they purport to be.
So it's profit or, in this case, greed.
That seems to be the driver for a lot of human actions. So ground black pepper can be adulterated.
It's enough to make you wonder who thinks of this stuff.
Stems, starches, everything that looks grayish speckled appears to be ground black pepper.
The scientists at USP want to know what's really on grocery shelves, not just what the label says is in the bottle, can, or box, what's actually inside.
So now we're testing paprika.
Spices they've found are often not what they seem.
Paprika powder, it has a color appeal, a nice red color. There are synthetic dyes, industrial dyes available that mimic that color very nicely.
But sometimes those industrial dyes can not only make paprika seem more attractive to the eye, they can harm the buyer.
Those dyes are typically carcinogenic, or at least presumed carcinogenic.
An industry watchdog group estimates 7% of the American food supply contains fraudulent ingredients. The most common frauds at the supermarket? Liquids and ground food are easiest to doctor. Expensive extra virgin olive oil diluted with cheaper vegetable oils. Costly pomegranate juice adulteration is widespread. Some brands diminish by grape or pear juice. Saffron, black pepper, and paprika cut with stems and cheaper spices. Tea bags filled with fern leaves and common lawn grass. Pure lemon juice reduced by sugar and water. The National Consumers League did their own test in May of 2012.
Well, we tested 4 bottles of lemon juice. One had 10% lemon juice. It said it had 100%. Another had 15%. Another had 25%. And the last one had 35% lemon juice. And they were all labeled 100% lemon juice.
100% lemon, they can really make a lot of money that way then.
Well, if you think about it, 20 lemons cost a lot of money. 5 lemons cost a lot less.
We went shopping with consumer advocate Sally Greenberg, who showed us there is really very little for consumers to go on when looking on the shelves for fake food.
Here's extra virgin olive oil. And we're not going to show the brand, but this extra virgin olive oil is $5.50. That's pretty cheap for extra virgin olive oil.
And something that should raise some eyebrows for consumers.
Greenberg says consumers need a cop on the beat. And since the FDA can't test everything, they should be looking at the USP database and targeting the foods most often faked. Both the FDA and Grocery Manufacturers Association tell ABC News they take the new findings seriously and monitor grocery aisles for food fraud. It shouldn't be hard to find. High school students supervised by New York's Rockefeller University found alarming results in testing done over the last 3 years. 16% of the grocery store food they DNA tested, from expensive sheep's milk cheese that had only cow DNA in it, to caviar that wasn't made of sturgeon eggs, to pet food with no meat, all had counterfeit ingredients. And something supposedly as soothing as an organic tea was jammed with all kinds of bothersome fillers not mentioned on their labels.
If you were to take apart the tea bag, there are a lot of dried things in there. It's hard to tell what they are, but you can use DNA to actually test them. Some had fern in it, some had lawn grass. There's a weed called goosefoot.
How do you use this information? By knowing what's at the top of the list of fakes, being suspicious of dramatically low prices on normally expensive items, and by buying brands with an incentive to make you a return customer, not fake you out. For Nightline, I'm Jim Avila in Washington.